Fog rolled in from the Atlantic and curled around the docks like a living thing. Cargo ships rested in shadow, their steel hulls breathing slow clouds of steam. The harbor was quieter than it used to be. Lights dimmed for blackout regulations, radios kept low, and every man who worked the pier carried a sense that the ocean itself was listening. Samuel Carter adjusted his coat collar and glanced at the clock bolted above Warehouse 17. 11:40 p.m., 20 minutes until the midnight watch. He had worked this harbor since he was 16, hauling crates of sugar and rubber, later steel beams and aircraft parts. Since Pearl Harbor, everything that moved through Liberty Harbor felt heavier, not just in weight, but in consequence. Every crate was destined for war. Every ship might never return. Samuel was 30 now, too old to be drafted because of a childhood lung injury, too young to forget the guilt of watching others leave. His younger brother, Thomas, had joined the Navy the previous spring. Letters arrived irregularly, smelling faintly of salt and engine oil. Tonight, Samuel wasn't thinking about Thomas. He was thinking about the light. 3 nights in a row, from the far end of Pier C, he had seen it. A brief flash between stacks of shipping containers. Not bright enough to trip alarms, too deliberate to be accident. 3 quick blinks, then nothing. At first, he had said nothing. Dock workers learned to mind their business. But the newspapers were full of stories now. German U-boats sinking ships along the coast, spies arrested in coastal towns, saboteurs caught sketching bridges and factories. The war was no longer overseas. It had creeped right up to the shoreline. Samuel shifted his lantern from one hand to the other. Tonight, he planned to find the source. The watch list put him near Pier C just after midnight. Wind rattled loose ropes. Somewhere metal groaned as a tide tugged at moorings. The air smelled of diesel fuel and wet wood. He walked slow, boots soft on planks, pretending to check cargo seals while scanning the maze of crates stacked 5 high. Machinery parts, Detroit, medical supplies, aircraft aluminum. At 12:13 a.m., the light blinked. 3 times. Samuel froze. It came from behind a tower of crates stamped with an eagle insignia and the word radio equipment. He shut off his lantern. Darkness swallowed everything except the thin glow of moonlight reflecting off water. Another blink, this one lower, closer to the ground. Samuel swallowed and crept forward, heart hammering loud enough he feared it could be heard. As he rounded the stack, he saw him. A man crouched near the edge of the pier, coat open despite the cold, holding a small device that shimmered faintly green before clicking dark again. A wire ran into it from a canvas bag. Samuel had seen radios before, big Navy ones bolted into ship cabins. This one fit in 2 hands. The man muttered something in a language Samuel didn't recognize. Then the stranger stiffened. "You can come out," he said, calmly in an accented but fluent English. "I know you're there." Samuel hesitated. Slowly, he stepped into view, lantern raised. "Dock security," he lied. The man studied him, mid-40s, sharp cheekbones, eyes alert but not panicked. "You're a little far from the gatehouse." "Night patrol," Samuel said. "What's that you've got?" "A receiver, a hobby of mine." Samuel felt his stomach drop. "Funny place for a hobby." The man smiled thinly. "Funny times." Samuel took a step closer. "What were you signaling to?" The man's hand drifted, just slightly, toward his coat pocket. Samuel raised his lantern higher. "Don't." For a second, neither moved. Waves slapped against pylons below them. The man sighed. "You Americans, always thinking the war is right in front of you." "It is," Samuel replied. The stranger's eyes flicked past him, to the water. Samuel lunged.
They crashed into crates. The lantern flew from his grip and plunged into darkness. The man was stronger than he looked, elbows sharp, breath hot in Samuel's face. Samuel grabbed fabric, felt metal under the coat. A gun. Fear surged like electricity. He headbutted blindly. The man cursed. The gun clattered onto the pier. Samuel kicked it away and shoved his weight forward. They stumbled toward the edge. A whistle shrieked. "Hey!" A beam of light swept across them. Another guard running down the pier. The stranger twisted, trying to break free. Samuel locked his arms around him. "Now!" he shouted. 2 more guards appeared, flashlights bouncing. They tackled the man together, pinning him to the boards. The canvas bag spilled open. Inside, wires, a small transmitter, folded papers covered with coordinates and numbers. One guard sucked in a breath. Jesus! The stranger lay still beneath them, eyes cold. "You have no idea how many ships you just endangered." 2 days later, Samuel sat in a government office that smelled of stale coffee and cigarette smoke. A man in a dark suit flipped through a file, while another typed behind him. "You did the right thing," the suited man said. "Who was he?" Samuel asked. The man hesitated. "German operative. Entered the country years ago under a shipping firm. We've been watching the docks, but your report sped things up." "What was he signaling?" "U-boat positions, departure times, cargo manifests." Samuel's mouth dried. Ships, crews, thousands of men. Would have gotten people killed. The man nodded. "Already did in other ports." Samuel stared at the tabletop. "Am I in trouble?" The man allowed himself a small smile. "No, you're a civilian who paid attention." That night, Samuel stood at the harbor again. Same fog, same water, different feeling. Every crate seemed louder now, every shadow sharper. A cargo ship eased out into the channel, horn low and mournful. Samuel watched until it vanished into gray. He thought of Thomas somewhere out there, riding another vessel through blackened seas. He pulled his coat tighter. The war wasn't distant anymore. It had blinked at him 3 times in the dark.